Hello, you're watching Movie Talks with Chris and Kim.
I'm LaserDude99.
And I'm Filmmaker123.
So, let's do this.
We're here to talk about sequels and trilogies. Now, for the most part, nowadays, 2009, it's really hard to make sequels.
Very hard.
There's been so many that have just bombed and not have been the audience satisfaction. You know what I mean? Like, people go, oh, I love the first one, and then they go seeing the second one, and they're disappointed. I don't know about you, man, but I've walked out so many times after seeing the movie.
Yeah.
Wanted to walk out during the movie.
For a movie,
but it stuck around.
Yeah. Like Transformers 2, for example.
Great example.
Where were the Transformers in that movie? I barely saw them. But that's not the point.
We're not going to get right into the Transformers.
Really.
But we're here talking about trilogies, sequels. Alien 3, a lot of you fans of Aliens probably didn't like this movie. The Last Stand, X-Men.
They killed off my favorite character.
They killed off a lot of characters just so they could put a scene in the end of the movie saying, oh, we'll bring one of them back.
Hello, Moira.
What's the point? That's what I want to know.
See, the problem with a lot of
originality.
Yeah, the problem with a lot of sequels, I said this in our other review on a sequel, is that sometimes people try to outdo their movies, which is fine, as long as you don't try to overdo it. For a prime example of a good sequel is The Dark Knight. Like, Christopher Nolan went into that sequel saying, okay, we're going to make this bigger and better, but not for the sake of it being better.
Yeah,
it actually has to feel it.
And see, sequels usually always need the support of the first one, right? Well, they need the backstory and all this. For The Dark Knight, well, you don't have to see the first one. It stands on its own, you know?
Really. Like, sequels, for the most part, the third movie is the hardest to make.
Yep.
Like, for example, Shrek. The first movie, amazing. Loved it. Second movie, pretty good. I like it too. Third movie, what went wrong? What happened? I mean...
Sometimes film directors get too comfortable in the position they're in. They're like, well, you know, I've done this before. I think I'm okay. And they forget that it takes a lot of work. You have to pour so much into it.
Then again, that's also another thing. Sometimes directors leave because it wasn't the same director for Shrek 3.
Then that's what happened with X-Men Last Stand.
Yeah,
they brought in Brent Ratner, and Bryan Singer went AWOL.
Well, on Superman. And that didn't turn out that good either.
But it's also very hard to please an audience that keeps wanting more. For me, I think you need to kind of do everything again. Going into a sequel, you can't merely just say, well, people already know this, so it'll be easier for me. Just sit back and say, no, we already know this about the character. You basically have to start from scratch.
I think sequels are a good opportunity to dive deeper into the characters. It's not just like, okay, we've already explained the character, that's it. Right. You all know about. You know, sequels are a chance to go deeper into the character that you've already created and to see more that you couldn't see in the first film.
Exactly.
But there are times when sequels can be better than the first.
We often ask the questions, what does it take to make a good sequel?
You know, I don't think it's supposed to be as hard as it is. But
right.
There are times when movies can be better than it's an original. For a prime example is Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I love this movie. It's like, I don't think there is anyone that can dispute that it is a better movie than the first one. It's more well-made, more action, more in-depth, more struggle, more...
Exactly.
It's more interesting of a movie. And one of the best action movies ever made.
Right. My example is Bourne Supremacy. Now, they could have just, after the first one, they could have just made it completely ridiculous.
And just had a whole bunch of shooting scenes for no reason.
But this is so much close that it just, right off the first one, goes right into the second one. And it's great.
It's like one really long movie.
Yeah.
Honestly,
There's a lot of good examples of that. Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, but like it's just like the Bourne trilogy. That's an example of one of the prime how you can make a good trilogy. You don't like it's almost like you need to write all 3 movies beforehand, and then make them, because then you keep your original vision rather than doing something else and losing track of what your original hope for the
now that we've said a couple movies that are pretty good, what do you think, Kenneth? What are some of your worst sequels that you've watched?
Ooh.
For me, I went in and saw Pirates of the Caribbean 2.
Hey.
And I was wondering, what am I doing here?
I liked that movie.
Okay. It was dry, and it was a completely different movie than the first one, which is fine.
But you didn't like it because it didn't have Barbossa. Anyway. You didn't.
No, I didn't, but I didn't expect him to walk down the stairs in the end either. I mean, boy, what were they thinking? Another sequel that I just thought of the other day. Gremlins 2, Speed 2, what else?
Hey, I can top you. Every Disney straight to VHS sequel. Except for the Lion
Pretty much
King.
that sums it up.
I mean, like, Disney, they've made like a sequel of almost every one of their older movies. Jungle Book 2, Bambi 2...
101? No,
102
Two Dalmatians.
Lady and the Tramp 2.
Beauty and the Beast. Little Mermaid 2.
Yes.
Little Mermaid
No,
3.
how about Cinderella 3?
Oh, no, that's pushing it, man.
I'm serious. Cinderella 3.
Gee, is there any Disney movie that they have Sleeping Beauty?
No, actually.
Wow, that's
old.
pretty ironic.
They did Brother Bear 2.
That's almost as bad as The Fox and the Hound 2.
Oh yeah, that too. They have that. They do have that. And you know why they do that? To make money. They make those money with that. Money. Because kids like, I saw Bambi, I want to see Bambi too. But how about this? This is one of the most disappointing movies. I just remembered it.
Yeah.
The Legend of Zorro.
Oh no! Oh, not The Legend of Zorro. I promise not to talk about this today.
I love The Mask of Zorro. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite. What happened? It was so bad. They would just. They tried to be funny, but it wasn't funny.
Have the plot here, and let's have
them get a divorce for no reason.
Inciting incident here, and it was just like, Antonio, what are you doing? It's like, you know what?
I signed the contract. I don't know.
I honestly thought Antonio was better in Take the Lead, and that's saying a lot.
Oh wow.
He can do better than Take the Lead, but not when it comes to Zorro.
Oh, it was just bad.
Now, I've never seen this, but I've heard horror stories of Cheaper by the Dozen 2.
I haven't seen it either, but I say it's the most unnecessary sequel ever made. You make a sequel when you think people are going to watch it, right? Mm-hmm. Who watched this movie?
Well, I think got one person sitting in Wisconsin.
Yeah, that was probably Steve Martin.
It probably was Steve Martin.
Yeah, just sitting in his own... Come on, guys! Come in! I'll pay! Just watch it! But, oh, man. Unnecessary.
Text messages. It's, oh, what do you know? It's George Lucas.
Oh, really?
He's asking me if, if he should make a 5th Indiana Jones. Be pushing it.
Steven Spielberg must have just been recently rewatching his Taken.
But George, it's aliens, clearly. Indiana Jones finds an alien.
Hey, don't
that's the way.
Hey, I think George Lucas is on a worse slide. How about we talk about Star Wars Episode 2?
Episode 2, Star Wars. The fun just keeps getting started. We'll be right back after this next clip.
Spend as much time practicing your saber techniques as you do your witcher with rival Master Yoda as a swordsman. I thought I already did. Only your mind, my very young apprentice.